This show is not personal financial advice. We cover broad principles, break the silence on issues impacting everyday Americans, and point you towards the tools to take ownership. You should always do your own research and consult with a tax professional or a licensed investment advisor for guidance tailored to your personal situation. Welcome to the Backwoods Money Podcast, the show where we break the silence on money issues impacting everyday people. I am your host, Dalton, and thank you for listening in. I did want to provide a quick update that we will be welcoming our son into the world later this week, so there will likely not be an episode next week while I'm out of the studio. A quick update from the personal finance world: the Fed has announced a 0.25% rate cut. Here is what that means for everyday people. Mortgage rates usually lower after the rate cuts, so we may see more refinancing and more real estate movement in the future. For other types of consumer debt, such as personal loans, the rates may also go down over time. That is not an invite to go out into the world and get more debt. Credit cards are still just as dangerous as before, no matter what the Fed did. The yield from savings accounts will probably also be dropping across the board. While some banks may hold on to the rates as long as they can to keep their customers happy, don't expect the 4% or more APYs to stick around for much longer. CD rates usually follow this, so if you are shopping for a good CD rate, now is a good time to start looking. Another impact of the rate cuts is that the price of stocks usually go up after rate cuts. But remember, inflation is still lurking around the corner. We cannot successfully time the market, but we can focus on consistently investing and picking our investments wisely. I personally go for responsibly managed ETFs, and to me, those small management fees on those ETFs are worth every penny to have a professional worrying about what that ETF is doing while I am not losing sleep over it. It is also important to note that the Fed cited that weaker job growth was a key reason for the rates to be cut. We talked about this in an episode a couple of weeks ago, and this is a reminder that rate cuts are not always great. Sure, rate cuts have their benefits, but the underlying causes of those rate cuts can be alarming. This is why we stress so much for people: plan ahead, pay off your debt, have a savings that can hold you over in case something happens, and always be thinking about the future. This episode is brought to you by our one-page budget template, now available as a free download on our website. Budgeting should not be complicated or intimidating. It should be empowering and help you identify where your money is actually going. You don't need a fancy app or a subscription to get started. What you need is a pen and a piece of paper. Go download your free copy of our one-page budget template for free at www.backwoodsmoney.com/budget. Again, that is www.backwoodsmoney.com/budget. So we talked about how consumer debt rates possibly go down during a rate cut, and how that debt is still just as dangerous. There are going to be some people out there who take advantage of this to consolidate their debt into a lower rate and pay it off easier, and there are going to be others who take advantage of this to go buy themselves something new that they can't afford. And speaking of things that they can't afford, I saw an online rant recently. A person was complaining about how they can't afford rent in a high cost of living area while earning a low income, which that within itself is a topic for another day. I mean, maybe consider looking outside of that high cost of living area. But another part of that rant talked about how they are blessed to have cosigners for their debt. That is what I wanted to talk about today. Again, that person said that they were blessed to have people to cosign for them. And those people certainly must be a blessing because I certainly would not cosign with anybody, much less somebody who is already struggling to keep up with the cost of living. Sure, it's a blessing to the person financing something, but to the cosigner, it is just pure liability. Say the person makes every payment on time. That's great, but you really didn't benefit that much from that. Even if the person tries to sell you on, oh, that will help your credit build. On the other hand, if that person misses any payments or just stops paying altogether, your name is on that too. And I don't care how good your relationship with somebody is, the second that you either owe them money or you ask them to cosign something, it's a little bit awkward. And I'm speaking from experience. When I was young, probably 18 or 19 years old, I had a decent income, but no credit score, which, looking back on it, I wish I would have kept it that way. But I wanted to buy a new car, and I mean a brand new car, which again I now know is one of the worst purchases that somebody can make as it drops in value like a rock. The dealership that I went to wanted to make a sale. I mean, help me. So I was told that I could find somebody to cosign since I had no credit. My grandfather was kind enough to do that for me. But let me tell you, I did not enjoy asking, and I did not like the thought of depending on somebody else for something. So within a few months, I had my credit score built up enough to refinance it into just my own name. Fast forward a handful of years, when I had started to take more control of my finances and not make as many stupid decisions like that, I found that the shoe was on the other foot. I had a relative, oddly enough at the exact same dealership, call me with the same pitch. They were sitting there talking numbers on a brand new vehicle that they couldn't afford and that they did not have the credit to finance. And this was not a relative that I saw or communicated with daily. So it's not like this just came up in conversation or had been talked about before. This was just a cold call out of nowhere with no warning. I don't know what felt worse, being the one to ask or being asked. But either way, I didn't like it and did not want any part of it. And here's the thing, co-signing is not just a financial principle, it goes back to biblical times. Proverbs 17:18 says, one who lacks sense gives a pledge and puts up security in the presence of his neighbor. That translates to only a fool cosigns for somebody else. Now, the Bible is not saying not to love that person, but it is warning you against exposing yourself and what you have built for somebody else's chaos and bad decisions. You can support somebody, you can cheer them on from the sidelines and hope the best for that person, but you don't have to sign your name to their mess. And remember that when you co-sign with somebody, you are effectively going into debt alongside that person. And one thing that we talk about a lot on this show is how debt risks your peace. And you may think that you're just helping out a friend or a relative, but you're just betting your future and your financial peace on somebody else. If they default or just miss a payment, pay it late, there goes your money and your peace. If somebody that you love is struggling financially, there are better ways to help. One thing that you can do, which I wish that I would have found earlier in life, is to sit down with that person and to help them build a budget. Even if they don't build a budget with you, you can at least share with them the importance of having a budget and knowing where your money is going and being intentional with it. You can point them towards the resources that will help them find financial peace. Share this podcast, share a Dave Ramsey video with them, or point them towards a financial coach if they need it. But regardless of what you do, remember that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Remember that you can always love somebody and try to help them while you are not enabling them. So let me be clear again. You should not cosign. You should not cosign for a car. You should not cosign on a credit card. You should not cosign on a lease. I don't care how close you are with that person, how good their intentions are, or how desperate the situation feels. If they could not qualify on their own or afford that, that's your sign. You're not protecting them, you're not helping them, you are just enabling them and exposing yourself to that situation. That is it for today's episode of Backwoods Money. Remember, we are not here to sugarcoat anything. We are here to break the silence and to guide everyday people towards financial peace. If you liked this episode or it hit home for you, remember to like or share the episode or the show. Whether you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, or another platform, every like and share helps the algorithm get the message out to more people that need to hear it. As a reminder, I will be out of the studio in the coming week to welcome our son into the world, so thank you for your patience and for being part of this community.